Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. New videos every week, so if you don't want to miss out on any of your Tex Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness, you better make sure that you click subscribe, check that notification box, and check my channel every week for new videos. I love reading your comments, and I truly appreciate all of you that watch. I need to catch you up on what's been going down in the woods. Welcome to another edition of Illinois Archery Season 2017. It had rained almost all night, and so my approach around the cornfield to my ambush was practically silent. Now, rain can be your ally because it will cover your approach. It will also wash away your scent, but it can also be your enemy because rain will wash out a blood trail in a hurry. And so I am very loath to actually hunt on an evening rain for fear of losing my game, even if I make a good shot and being unable to recover it due to complications from rain and darkness and so on. But I was secreted away on the corner of the cornfield, sitting on the fence row of the property line, hoping to ambush a deer as it came around the edge of the cornfield where they had the corn crushed down. I had a good solid crosswind, and as the morning went on, I thought, perhaps I will break my curse today. Watching, waiting, listening, fidgeting, hoping, praying, and then realizing that as the sun gets higher, the likelihood of seeing anything drastically drops. However, the visceral mystery of the hunt is even against your better judgment when you think, I'm probably never going to see anything. You think, well, maybe I could. So you put on your boots, you take up your bow, and you join in the visceral mystery of the hunt. Because you can't accomplish a goal unless you're there, no matter how unlikely it seems as the morning goes on. The wind had changed a bit and was blowing straight on the back of my neck, but I hoped that that might be good in case a deer came to cross the fence to feed upon the fallen corn stalks. There is a special kind of excitement that comes from the freedom to dream as a hunter, the freedom of imagination in the face of cold, bleak reality. But the weather was pleasant, and my spirit was undampened despite the fact that I was clueless as to where the deer might be. After my morning hunt had came to a conclusion, I was a bit disheartened, I confess, not having any kind of clue where the deer might be, because all my intelligence that I had gathered pointed to the spots that I had been sitting in. But yet, the deer had simply not showed up. I knew for a fact that in past years I had seen deer pass exactly by these exact spots. And yet, frustratingly enough, the high-stakes game of whack-a-mole, the slow descent into madness that is my deer season, continues. Watching, waiting, listening, hoping, praying, dreaming, fidgeting. It had rained and rained and rained all day while I was out of the woods. And so I had decided that I was going to try a different hunting location. You see, if you don't know where to start, go back to the beginning. And I had not a clue where I might find deer. So rather than hunting on my hunting permission property, I decided that I was going to go back and hunt my family's cattle pasture. And so I decided that I was going to secret myself away on a camp chair behind a bush. and wait and hope and pray that with the rain done with, that the deer might be moving through. So I had scaled my way down a steep hill into this thicket at the base of the hill with the creek behind me, hoping that a deer would come through this thicket, hoping that a buck would come to rub on these trees, because year after year I had always found rubs in this location. And while it was early for rubs, you never truly know when it comes to hunting. Nothing is guaranteed. And so secreted behind my bush, watching out into the thicket, the wind was calm, the birds were singing, the blue jays were fighting with the squirrels, and the geese had flown overhead. Everything was green and lush and pleasant and beautiful. Everything was so utterly fantastic with the calm wind that I was able to convince myself that tonight might be the night, that everything for once would go absolutely right. But as the night came down, I was proven wrong, and the slow descent into madness continues. Illinois Archery season 2017. Part of the joy of bow hunting is the challenge, the facing the unknown, the figuring out the quarry, the skill set involved, and the taking of an animal with ethics, honor, skill, and a healthy pinch of luck. I had been set up on this hillside stand all afternoon, watching, waiting, listening. Occasionally I would hear birds flushing from the corn stalks. And that is truly a cruel joke, because to hear a bird or a squirrel scurrying around in the cornfield up and down the stalks as they want to do, it sounds exactly like you would imagine a buck's antlers scraping the ears of corn as he walks with his massive rack through the corn. And it's entirely possible that it could be a buck's rack scraping the ears of corn, because once you get more than 3 rows into a cornfield, you really can't see what's going on in the further rows. Now, I didn't have high expectations for this hunt, but you can't know what's going to happen unless you're there to see it for yourself. And there's only so many trails that the deer can take. And so the high-stakes game of whack-a-mole, the slow descent into madness, goes on and on. But I continued to hunt and sit as still as I possibly could, which is something that I am very not good at, because as the magic hour approaches, the excitement builds, because you know the deer will move. You hope that they will move near you. You do not know. But I wasn't hopeful, because I had no deer activity on my trail camera whatsoever. The only pictures that I had were me walking away from my camera and walking into my stand. But still I sat, excited, hoping, praying, watching, waiting, wondering, and enjoying the agony and the ecstasy of the visceral mystery of the hunt. I am only one man. I am a feeble human hunter against all the cruel japes that nature can play on a man in the wild. But as long as I live, I will continue the hunt. The wind was out of the totally wrong direction, but it had been raining most of the day, and so I had the chance to go hunting. I, like most of you that have to live in real life with real conditions, hunt whitetail under less than favorable circumstances. I was still absolutely clueless as to where the deer might be, But I had decided to hunt this stand, sitting huddled behind my Christmas trees, hoping against hope that in the evening a deer would take this trail. Never knowing, always wondering, there is great excitement, and the greater the excitement, the more bitter the disappointment. And there are times that you will think, I'm probably not going to see anything at all. But there is that slim chance, that chance for a buck of a lifetime that will get you out there and make you stay. The rain had stopped, but the wind was gusting. I won't go so far as to say that everything was perfect, because it wasn't. It was just another hunt, but at least it was not a comedy of errors. As the evening went on, I sat, still as I possibly could. One really good thing about the rain is that it makes you like a ghost going into the timber. I train and I practice obsessively with my archery equipment. But in truth, all skill is in vain if an angel pisses in your musket. It doesn't matter how good of a shot you are if nothing shows up. But at least the weather was pleasant enough, being warm for October, which is an ironic problem to have, because it means that deer are unlikely to move until the last light of the day. As the light began to fade, my excitement grew almost uncontainably, because there's always that chance, no matter how slim, that this might be the hunt that I break my whitetail curse. And you never truly know. And that is the appeal of going into the woods as a hunter. The adventure and the unknown. These pictures are proof of why I say that whitetail hunting is like a high-stakes game of whack-a-mole. Because I had set a trail camera up on the point rows of a field where the deer had knocked it down on the corner. And I was able to capture some early morning images and some daylight activity. But naturally, it was when I was not there. And so I had a little camp chair stuck on the point rows of the field behind some tall foxtails, and I was waiting for dawn. Everything was so perfect. It had rained all night, so my approach was silent. All my scent that I may have left from the camera had been washed out, and the sun began to come up, and I could hardly contain my excitement, because the wind was perfect, the temperature was perfect. I knew that just yesterday I had had traffic in front of this very spot. Now, you see where I sit, and a lot of people think that I'm far too open in the way that I sit. But the reason that it appears that way is because I have to position the cameras at a different view than what a whitetail will have. And so, watching, waiting, listening, the crosswind holding, everything so absolutely perfect as the squirrels scurried up the corn stalks and the birds flew overhead. Never knowing, always wondering. There's a lot of reasons why I do what I do in the way that I do it. But to be quite honest with you, I've been chasing this dream for so long, I've practically forgotten all the reasons why. I don't even know why anymore. It's just what I do. But I knew that just yesterday morning there had been deer activity past this very spot. And I hoped that as the morning began to dry out, as the sun rose higher and higher, that a deer would be making its way around the edge of the field. But I had been up very early for this hunt, and I was getting tired. But I would much rather kill a deer in the morning. That way I have all day to do the tracking job just in case. And still I sat, wondering if I was truly cursed. But I was truly blessed to have been able to experience the type of October morning that all Midwestern whitetail hunters dream about. When we go into the woods on a hunt, there is no way of knowing what's going to happen. It's always a brand new adventure. And everything about this hunt was so absolutely perfect. The perfect ambush, the perfect place, the perfect weather, the perfect wind. Everything was so absolutely perfect. And I hiked in with my face red with excitement. You could have cooked an egg on my face. I was so very excited. I thought for sure something would happen tonight, that there would be deer movement. The wind was directly in my face. Everything was so utterly perfect. But then I began to question myself, wondering if a deer did show up, could I make a perfect shot? Would I be able to recover it? Would I be able to capture it all on film to bring you the hunting story? Watching, waiting, listening, and wondering these thoughts, I sat as still as I could, which is something that I am not very good at, and my excitement grew even greater, because as the sun slowly started to sink and the evening came on, the temperature dropped, and it was a misty, cool, almost cold at dusk, the type of October evening that all Midwestern whitetail hunters dream about. I thought for sure that there would be deer movement, and as dusk and dark came even closer, every time my eyes adjusted to the light, I got even more and more excited, sitting along the same spot that I had sat the morning hunt. Every single sound, every tiny gust of wind through the corn would send me through the roof. It is difficult for me to convey to you how excited and awesome this all was. I watched the corners of my vision for any sign of that majestic brown animal that we know as the whitetail. Any ivory of the antlers. Watching, waiting, listening, and yet again wondering, how would I even react to seeing a deer this close? Because if it was going to happen, it was going to be a very intimate encounter with nature and hunting at some of its most primal. But such is the ancient dance of predator and prey. The sun went down on yet another empty hunt, because there is no guarantee, and there cannot be disappointment without great love. I didn't have high expectations for this hunt, but with hunting you never really know, and there's only so many days in the deer season. So I decided that I was going to hunt this spot when I got done with the chores, that way I could check my trail camera. Now, I at least finally had some good activity, and some fairly decent looking bucks. But The bad news was they were all there after dark. The good news was at least they were there. And it makes it difficult hunting whitetail when the crops are still in, because the crops will at least provide cover so that you aren't necessarily viewed on your way in. But the deer literally almost don't have to leave. They don't have to move during the daylight. But watching, waiting, listening, sitting on my camp stool behind the wood pile, I was determined that I was going to make the best of this hunt, even if I didn't think that I was going to see anything at all. Because the interesting thing about hunting is it can go from mind-numbing boredom to complete and utter ecstasy of excitement with the simple rustle of a leaf or the snap of a twig or the shuddering of a corn stalk. It is a visceral mystery. But there's only so many days in a deer season. And it's important, we feel that it is important, that is, that we get a deer early in the season. Everyone would love to kill a big one opening day. And the reason is because once you get to the rut, even though we all love hunting the rut, once you get to the rut, the season, for the practical purposes, is almost gone when you're actually going to have good deer activity. But as the night came on and the shadows started to lengthen, against my better judgment, I got excited because the magic hour was here, waiting for an impending moment of truth and hoping that that buck might come around the corner of the cornfield and right past me before the darkness came in. And the slow descent into madness continues. Life ain't like the pornos. Hunting ain't like the TV shows. And to be quite honest with you, I sometimes question what the hell I'm actually trying to accomplish, but I don't really know how to do anything else, and I don't have anything better to do, so I guess I'm just going to keep doing it. So make sure you stay tuned, and if you want to support my channel, it don't cost you nothing. All you got to do is just take time and share my videos. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please got my friends over at SOETacticalgear.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. Thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors.